Now Gary Carrington coming up. I want to thank Dave Burrell of Newburyport, Massachusetts, for sending me a letter with some kind words, and also the clipping from the Globe. I appreciate that, too. That was the article that was in the Globe magazine on Candlepin bowling. Half was to right, so there are 8 pins still standing for Gary Carrington, and there are still 5. Got another letter here from Lexington, Massachusetts, Count Arsenault, and he said, I wonder if some of your older fans remember when a rubber band was inserted in duck pins similar to the stripe on candle pins. Well, I remember. I guess that makes me an older fan. 9 drop and just the 7 there. The rubber kept the pins from flying and quieted the noise. Also kind of to save some of the pin boys who were in danger with the... Oh! Went to the left of that one and missed it. He said he believed that they were restricted to private clubs and not found in public alleys. Well, that's not so. At least it wasn't so where I grew up in New Bedford, because we had duck pins, and we did have what we called rubber bellies. They had a band right around them, and they didn't make much noise. You're right. They just sort of went down with a, well, they didn't go down too often for me, but when they went down, they didn't make too much noise. Okay, Joe Tavernese has an 8 drop on the first ball, and he is faced with the 3 and 6 for a spare. And so he has to settle for a 10, as he got 1 with each ball. Joe has won a couple of tournaments in the last couple of years on the Pro Bowlers Tour. He's married, has 2 children. He manages the post office lanes in Lynn. And Joe gets an 8. Speaking of the World Candlepin Bowling Congress tour, the first of 1986 was won by Don Riley. Set a new record in Londonderry, New Hampshire for the lanes, and he, of course, is our statistician. Joanne Panto is our secretary. Bill Rubin is the big mahup, the producer-director of the show. Gary Carrington gets himself another spare. Al Giglio is keeping score on that big scoreboard today, and Bruce Goldman keeping score beside me. Here's Gary Carrington now going with the bonus ball, and he gets a tough split. He winds up with 7, 10, and a piece of wood perpendicular to the 7. Let's see what he can do with it. He's going to try to split the wood, and no, didn't get it. It's still the 7 and 10 there. There's the score, 96-95 here in this middle string, although Carrington led 146 to 123 after 1. Joe Tavernese. And Joe has the 7 topple, so he has a kind of a mixed-up bag here. He's got the 1 and the 9 and 10. There's a piece of wood to the left which probably will not come into play. Nope, it didn't. He punched out the 1, and the 9 and 10 are still there. And they're still there, so it's an 8 box. clipped wing spread eagle. The 1 is gone, the 5, and across the back, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So he has 2 on each side, 2 and 4, 3 and 6. Right down the middle he went, touching nothing except a piece of wood that was in the back. Gets just one of those 4, so it's a 7 box, and a very disappointing 110 for Joe Tavernese. Now Gary Carrington. The rest of completing our crew, of course, our lob line judge and referee is Ralph Stewart. And punch out in the middle for Gary Carrington also, except that the 7 went. But basically it's a spread eagle with a 7 gone. Oh! He came within 1 pin of making that. The 4 is still there. Got the 3 on the right and the 2 pin. 9. Gary won $50 for winning the first string, 146 to 123. He leads by 2 pins here, and he's opposite a 7 box, so he should win the second one too. That did it for him right there. He's at 113, so he wins another $50 in bonus money. Made it for a spare. All right, now at 115. And a bonus ball to throw. Thin hit. Just 4. $119. So that's good enough to win another $50 in bonus money, as I said. And it extends his lead by another 9 pins, since he was opposite a 110 by Joe Tavernese, who has a kind of a worried look on his face as he looks up at that scoreboard. And at the end of 2, it is Gary Carrington 265, Joe Tavernese 233.
Sargent's invites you to put yourself in your cat's place. What if you had the fleas, the itching, the scratching? You'd want relief on the double. You'd want your cat to give you Sargent's double layer flea and tick collar. Sargent's double layers kill fleas and ticks like both a powder and a spray. And Sargent's keeps killing for 5 full months. Give your cat relief on the double. Sargent's double layer flea and tick collar. She'd do it for you.
Who's gonna be at the Silver Bullet tonight?
The Silver Bullet? Oh, I think it's romantic.
Romantic?
Yeah, Rob, look around. People come in, have a Coors Light, have a few laughs. They could be with 30 people or alone with someone. The Silver Bullet's a very romantic place.
Your eyes.
What?
The way you said that, there's just something about your eyes.
Rob, it's not that romantic.
There's no slowing down with the Silver Bullet
You're
tonight.
right.
Coors Light beer. Nutritious. That describes every peanut butter because they all have about the same nutrition. But one stands out from the rest. It's not only nutritious, it's more. It's Peanuttier Jif, and it's delicious, with more fresh roasted peanut taste than any leading brand. Jif's made with only #1 grade peanuts, sealed in its jar while it's fresh and warm for delicious peanut taste.
Peanutty good.
Peanuttier Jif. Nutritious because it's peanut butter. Delicious because it's Jif.
When you're searching for signs of spring, pick these warm weather ideas inside the spring catalog from True Value hardware stores. Like the 18-inch Palmyra broom by Empire for only $3.99. Get the ever-ready fluorescent lantern for indoors or out, just $9.99. This 32-gallon True Value trash can with high dome lid is only $8.88. And this 100-foot extension cord by Master Electrician is just $6.99 in the spring catalog and at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
Now leading off the 3rd string, today's challenger, Gary Carrington. And he punches out right down the middle, the 1-5. Before I forget it, speaking of 1 and 5, Channel 5, next week our show will be on at 1 o'clock rather than 12 noon because of a special on Channel 5. For you folks in Springfield, you better check with your station or newspaper. I'm not sure whether they're going to carry the show at noontime or at 1 o'clock. But anyway, for those of you who watch it on Channel 5 in Boston, because of a special program, it'll be on at 1 rather than at 12 noon. Okay? Very good. Gary Carrington has missed on the spare attempt here and has 3 pins still standing across the back. Misses again, so it's a 7. So he has a 32-pin lead, but he didn't bowl exceptionally well there. In addition to being runner-up bowler of the year, you know, of course, I mentioned that Jack Ray, who was defeated by Joe Tavernese, was on the American Championship team that won the title in Nova Scotia in November. Well, Jack Ray, Peter Flynn, John Miller, Bob Kelly of Stoneham were 4 of them, and Gary Carrington was the other. So it's the men's team, and I guess since it's played in this part of the world and maybe nowhere else, it makes them the world team champions anyway. Candlepins. The tournament will be held this year. That is with Canada sending some teams, and also the United States will be held at Charlie Milan's Bangor Brewer Lanes in Maine. That'll be next November. Joe Tavernese bowls with all these guys too, and is an alternate on the team with these guys. Okay, here is Gary Carrington now. It would have been a strike, except 2 downed pins pinched the 5 and prevented it from falling. So he has the 5 to pick up for a spare at the single pin. And he does. Needs a 135 for a 400. A 137 would move him ahead of Jim Powers into our championship show. He gets an 8 drop, but look what he has left. He has the 4 and the 10. A piece of wood is rolling over toward the 10, and it's going to roll into the gutter. Did not touch it. Got the 4, but hit it a little too full to make it go over there to get the 10. Now for the 10, he picks that up, and it is a 10 box. There's a look at the scoreboard. Now Joe Tavernese. Joe has, for a moment, had the 4 horsemen on the right side, but the 6-pin dropped, so now he has 1, 3, and 10 on the right. Made it. Eight drop, and he winds up with a tough shot. It's the 5 and the 7. No wood to help. Five is down, but the 7 is still there.